big hair wants you to feel like you can't go without shampoo or
Big
conditioner.
follicle.
Yeah, big follicle. We're on here. We know what dry shampoo is. Buckle up.
Yeah.
It's people putting talcum powder in their hair. It absorbs the grease that's going on like a chinchilla taking a dust bath. They'll just.
Well, I think that might be our segue, man.
Huh?
I have had the pleasure of sharing a stage with you on a couple of occasions.
Yep.
And it's very rare that you get the opportunity with people that you play with and listen to just sit down and ask them all of the questions that you think you might have for them.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming in and having a chat to us.
No, 100%. I'm super happy to be here. I love the studio. I love the vibe, and it is an honor to be here. It's an honor. It's just a privilege.
No, well, I always say at the start of every pod, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Give us a rundown of what sort of music you play, where we can find it as well, what you've got out.
Okay.
And just a brief rundown of what you do.
Yeah, 100%. Like that camera.
Yeah. to all six of our
all
cameras
six
in the room.
of the cameras.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Aspy Jones. I am a musician. I play in the Sunny Coast and Brisbane. That's kind of where I'm based. I do roots folk music, and I am a massive advocate for people with Asperger's and ASD in the music industry and just life in general.
That was really good, and now I
Do you
feel
know
like
how many times? Do you know how many times I say that all the time? It's just like it's almost like my morning affirmations.
Yeah.
It's just like, hi, I'm Aspy Jones. I'm a musician that's based on the Sunshine. While I'm brushing my teeth, it's like I'm a musician based on the Sunshine Coast. And it's just like I'm massive for people with ASD and on the spectrum. It's just like in the movie.
There it is.
Evan Almighty, where it's like,
Yeah.
where it's like successful, powerful, handsome, happy. I'm successful, powerful, handsome, happy. Like that kind of thing. It's like, but yeah, do that a lot of times. That's why it's so quick off the tongue.
It's
So
like
good fun.
those Catholic prayer beads. They recite the prayer. Do you do that while you tune you tune the guitar and?
That's right.
Well, one of the first things this is the first pod that I've done since I've been back from the UK. So I was recently over in the UK.
Yes, I saw
and
that.
I know that you were also just
I was
briefly
also
over
in
in
the UK.
the UK for the Rugby World Cup.
No, it was like the autumn series.
Right.
The World Cup is this year.
Yep.
Which I'm still super pumped for. But yeah, I went to watch Australia v Wales in, I think it was November. Yeah, I think it was November.
Yep.
And it was great.
They play rugby here too, right?
They do play rugby here.
You don't have to fly 28 hours to.
I'm waiting like all the time because I was originally going to go watch Australia, South Africa in Brisbane, and then I got a gig at the same time, and I was gutted because it turned out to be an amazing game on TV, and I'm watching it. I'm watching it while I'm playing, and my sad little face. I'm just like, oh, I could have been there. I was like, oh.
It's really funny you say that because I remember one time in practice we were practicing and I had my phone playing the rugby league because I'm a league fan, not a union fan. And Kody was sort of like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Nothing." And he's
What are
like,
you
"You watching the football?" I was like, "No." I had it on a music stand. But so yeah, were you born in Wales, or are you just your family's from
No,
Wales?
I was born in Wales, and I moved over when I was 7 years old.
Yeah, right. Okay.
When I was just a wee lad.
Yeah. I was actually in Cardiff, and
Ooh,
how did you
sorry.
find it? I'm really glad you said that because we went to Cardiff for a day, and it was a day too long. And I really apologise to anyone that has ties to Wales, but wow. I Googled it while I was there because I was like, why does everyone here look really depressed and upset all the time? And I Googled it, and it turns out that they have the same level of poverty as Romania.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I was like, it kind of makes sense, I guess, just because everyone there just looks really upset and depressed all the time.
We were there I think we were there for 3 days. One of those was to watch the rugby, and we had incredible. We were there for almost a month in the UK, and we had incredible weather through the whole time. It rained twice, and one of them was during the rugby. So we went out after the game into the streets. Wales had lost, so it wasn't the best atmosphere to go out, admittedly. And we're just out in the streets, and it is freezing. It is pissing down. The wind is absolutely barreling through the streets. It is miserable, and
Yeah.
we're just like, oh my God, it's so cold. I had like 3 shirts, and I was wearing like a pullover, and then like a windbreaker jacket.
Yep.
And I was so cold. I think I went after the game. I went to 2 clubs, and I think it must have been like 11, and I called it. I was like, no, I'm out. It's too cold. It's too wet. I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
But the next day was great because we went to Cardiff Castle, and that was a good day out. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, because it when the weather's bad, you don't want to be there. It's oh.
Also, Cardiff is the only city I've ever been to where I went into the lolly shop. There's like a confectionery shop that's like down the street from the castle, and they were selling Tim Tams for like £12 a pop, and I thought that it was an insult. Personally, I was incredibly offended.
I feel extorted.
In saying that, not as bad as Paris. I hate Paris.
Really?
Yeah, I want nothing to do with it. So, you know, Cardiff, you're still above Paris. So,
Welcome to the podcast where we talk smack about popular cities.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I am surprised that you were surprised by the weather in the UK.
I think I was pleasantly surprised how nice it was the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like the days were cold, but that's because we were there in November, and that's their winter, and so that's on us. But just how nice it was through the days. It was sunny. Like, the wind would sometimes be really heavy, but it was just like all around, like the weather was perfect. We were in London for 3 days, and it was blue sky for almost all 3.
It's weird because it's really cold, but the skies are like bright blue.
Yeah.
So yeah, you think everyone always tells you it's going to rain.
It's weird for Aussies.
Yeah. In saying that, I do come back and appreciate a 32-degree day, and then it gets like 38 degrees of humidity, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I would prefer.
100%. Like, I think when I came back, the thing I've stopped taking for granted is just casual outdoor life, the ability to go out and enjoy like a day that's nice weather, or go out swimming or whatever, and just like knowing that the weather's going to be good.
Yeah, I think I was sitting. This is like such a privileged thing to say and complain about, but I was sitting at a cafe in Brussels, and we got sat outside, and I'm sitting there with my coat, just like shaking, and I'm like, yeah, why would you even have outdoor tables like for almost 8 months of the year? It seems pointless. So that's my first tangent. Was international travel.
How many of those do we get? How many mulligans do we get for this podcast?
Depending on the length of the tangent, I'll give us somewhere between 3 and 10.
10 mulligans. It was like, okay. It's like, we can't do that again.
Yeah.
We can't do that again.
Well, to bring it back to music,
okay.
And back to this continent, how did you get into music? What was like your inspiration and that sort of thing?
I think I started music like super late compared to a lot of artists, because a lot of artists, they've been playing music since like they could walk, and like some start in primary schools, some start in high school. I didn't have any, like I could sing, and I was interested in music. I listened to a lot of it, but I had no interest in pursuing it until I was maybe like 17 years old, like on my way out of high school. And then I started a baking apprenticeship, and then it was at that point I started to like actually, I guess, commit to the guitar. And then I started playing more on that, and then I had started writing my own stuff. But I was doing a baking apprenticeship for like 2 years. I got halfway through it, and then after, for reasons that we may or may not circle back to, I left the second bakery. I was like, nah, I'm not into this, and so then just decided to commit to music full time around about the age of like 18, 19. So that was like when I actually committed to doing like the cover gig shtick and all that kind of stuff. And then I started doing, Aspy Jones after, or just before COVID, 2019. So that was when I started doing it.
It's funny you say that because there was a distinct period in my life where I worked one day on a strawberry farm and went, I'm going to uni. It's like, no way. So yeah, all it takes is getting up at 3:30 in the morning to make sourdough to make you go, no, I actually think I'm going to follow my dreams.
All it takes for a creative is a certain amount of manual labor for you to go, you know what? I think I want to study. You're like, I'm not into this.
Yeah, no, I traded the white card in for guitar lessons. That was Who were your early influences, like music-wise?
I think at the start, I've always been a Billy Joel fan. Always been a Billy Joel fan. My heart was broken in like 69 pieces when I realized that he hadn't played Australia in 30 years. And then the first time we go to the UK since moving here, he comes and plays a show in Melbourne while I'm in the UK. One day only. I think it was like the 10th of December. Son of a bitch rocks up in Melbourne, and I'm just like, ha! It was like, okay, we'll just pretend like that hasn't happened and broken my heart. I was gutted and absolutely shattered.
I think I don't know if he still does it, but I know he has a residency at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
In New York, so like you can usually catch him. Like he's done like something ridiculous. Like
he holds the record for the most consecutive days of sold out shows.
Yeah,
and it's still ongoing. I think it's like 54 days.
Yeah,
continuously like selling out shows.
Insane.
It's outrageous that a man can like. No one gets tired of that. There's just like it's like there have to be people that keep coming back.
Oh, for sure. Like absolute like super fans. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like to constantly keep selling it out is unreal.
I also respect Billy Joel as like one of those legacy artists that's been around forever. And they were like, why don't you release new albums? And he was like, because all the ones I have are great. Yeah. So why would I bother? And I'm like, thank you, because so many bands that were great in their time have released, I won't say any, but have released albums in the last 10 years that are just awful. Yeah. And my thing is, if you already have, like, no one's turning up because you released a new album. They're turning up because you are such a great artist. And it's like Billy Joel doesn't need to release an album to sell out like the MCG or whatever it was. Like,
I think on that, there's a great quote that he was like talking. He did an interview recently, and he said that he had a conversation with Elton John, and Elton John asked him why he hasn't been releasing music recently, because obviously Elton John's still releasing like new stuff, newish stuff. Like, he's still doing features and whatever, but he is like still writing songs. And he said, why aren't you releasing more music? And Billy Joel said to him, why are you still releasing music? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. He's got a point though. And there's actually a really funny quote from Elton John though, where he was like, at some point I have to stop touring, and they're like, why is that? And he's like, because if I ever have to play Crocodile Rock again, I'll fucking kill myself. But
not wrong.
Outside of Billy Joel, like who else sort of like informs your music? Like, is there anything in particular that you would say you draw inspiration from? And I get that this is sometimes a tricky question, because one of the things I hate is if I write a song and someone says, that sounds like, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but when you say that, it feels like you're saying I'm stealing it, and I know that's not what you're saying. Yeah. But it bothers me because like I'm a uptight creative who likes to think that 100%. I'm like really original. Yeah. So
you want to make it feel like you want to come into a scenario where you're introducing someone to a song you've just written, and they go, oh wow, that's like, I can't think of anything that sounds like. Yeah. But it's like, it's inevitable, because as they say, there's nothing new under the sun.
Exactly.
And we take inspiration from everything, and it like sometimes, unless it's a blatant ripoff, you just have to brunt it and be like,
yeah.
So, but I think another artist that I take huge inspiration from is David Bowie. That man right there on my left thigh. I had to think about that. Embarrassing long I had to think about that.
I'm gonna mirror it. Just
it's like no, it's just right thigh. But David Bowie. Now that I think about it, I can just kind of look at the pants and just be like, you know what?
Yeah, I think that might have been a better.
That could have been a good one.
Let's mesh this into the other question that I had, which is you do have some very flamboyant pant choices. Which
Southern necessities, as they used to call them.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get into it. Like, what's the story behind the pants, and like, I guess run us down on the artists as well.
The pants were originally just a really great way, because we messed around with the idea of doing shirts, but then we were like, people do shirts, and like we see people like paint their own merch and whatever and stuff like that, and then we realized that, like, and also with shirts you sweat a lot, like obviously, like where all the sweat accumulates is up here, like that is where all of it's happening. There's not that much sweat going on your legs, so, and not only that, but there's a whole bunch of free real estate going on there. Like there's so much like space to do, and eventually we just kind of landed on it and went, you know what, we'll try that. We did the first pants we did were like Marvel based. We called them the Marvelous Pants.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was excellent.
I want to say that's awful, but it's also kind of great. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we're currently on the Mark 3s, which are, they're just like cartoon characters. So these are the Mark 2s, and the Mark 3s are just like all cartoon characters. So just kind of like your He-Mans, your Scooby-Doo, Blue's Clues, Pokemon, that kind of stuff. So those are, and I think those are currently the crowd favorite, just because they're so much more detailed than these ones. Like these ones are great, but there's like, you could stare at the Mark 3s for hours, and just still like find ones that you didn't see the first time.
How do you feel about people staring at your, you ever just find someone like, because like I feel like, someone's looking at your shirt or something, that's a bit normal, but from when you're standing above someone and they're just kind of giving you like these ones.
We get it all the time. It's worked out. It's actually worked out in a great way, and it's gone like a bit pear-shaped in some forms. So it's a really great situation where you see someone who's particularly attractive, and they go, "You're staring at my ass," and they go, "Oh, I can't help it." It's like, "I know, I get that all the time." But then there's ones where I can say it because we did this intentionally, just so we wouldn't get in trouble. But you'll notice that all the pants don't have pictures on the crotch.
Yeah, right.
And specifically the Mark 3s, because they're covered in cartoon characters. One of the things I'm really happy is that we don't have pictures on the crotch, because kids who are like 4 or 5 years old will just walk up and go, it's like, Blue's Clues, and it's like, thank God we didn't put anything there, because then people are like, oi, it's like, that's dodgy.
There's a parent coming up and grabbing them by the hand and looking at you like you should be on a registry.
But fortunately we did think ahead on that one. So those are the pros and cons with the pants. They're also like when you first start wearing them, they are really tight, but the more you wear them, you wear into them, so they're not too tight anymore, and they're like really comfy. So yeah.
What brand are they? I'm trying to get you a sponsorship.
These are just straight up like JJ's white pants.
Hell yeah.
Like $20, and we just paint them. Like, this is like, these are hand painted. It's acrylic paint.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's interesting. Like, it doesn't wash off, like, because it all looks. It looks printed, like.
Yeah.
In like, that's like a compliment.
Yeah, 100%. And we had a problem with the first one, because we didn't think ahead, and we're there thinking, how do we wash them? Because we're just thinking, if you put them in the washing machine, and then if you like hand wash them, it's going to be like dodgy. So what we did is we like fold them inside out, and then we just like sponge wash them, so it doesn't affect the paint at all.
Yeah, right.
These are things we're learning along the way. There's a reason
there's a Mark 3.
That's right. So it's a very like in the casual process. We're just learning how to take care of them and how to make sure that they have longevity.
You say we. And I assume that's not a reference to a multiple personality disorder. You are in fact also in a band.
Yep.
Which I believe is mostly family.
Yeah, majority.
Give us a breakdown of what that's like, and is it difficult at all? I'm going to take that silence as an affirmative, but
look, I think like. I want to start this by saying that it's one of the greatest feelings in the world that you can share your highs with your family on stage. So when you like pull off an absolute like bangers gig, like you've got like 100. We did like a great example. We played Woodford this year, last year, because they go over New Year's, and we did Pineapple Lounge. It's like 2 PM, and there was no one in this tent. And then by the end of it, there must have been well over 100 people, just like banging, just like absolutely having a great ass time. And it's moments like that where you do like, you get to share it with like your siblings, and honest to God, like it's such an amazing like thing to be able to do, to share moments like that with them. That being said, like we do, like as siblings do, we do have disagreements. We do have like falling out, like particularly during the practices. Sometimes it can get a little bit heated, but at the end of the day, we know that it's a job, what we're trying to do, well, we're really passionate about it, and we want like the best result. So we just kind of like, we just brunt it and just keep moving forward. But at the end of the day, like there's nothing that we could do where we wouldn't love each other at the end of it. And I do genuinely love spending the time with them. That's the most important thing to take from that.
Yeah. That's really nice. You're not like Oasis, like you're not throwing gift baskets and like like champagne bottles at each other and yelling at each other on stage. And
I watched like because they've got they have a documentary about.
They have two. And I know that because I am a very big Oasis fan. So this is a tangent looming, but continue.
Yeah, I had no idea how much they genuinely hated each other at points. I think it's kind of settled now because they're not in Oasis anymore.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of do interact with each other secretly, so the press doesn't. I reckon they do, because the press loves talking about how much they hate each other. So I feel like if they knew that they hung out on the down low, it would kind of ruin the magic of them hating each other.
Yeah, they were so big in the 90s that they, like, it's funny because in Australia they weren't as huge as they were in like the UK and Europe, like comparatively. So for us, I think it's always been like, oh, the Wonderwall guys. But I got into them like a fair few years ago and realized how big they were. And in the 90s, they had a recording of an argument that they had because one of their first gigs, they took a ferry over to Amsterdam, I think it was, and that was where they were supposed to play a gig, and they ended up getting into a fist fight or something on the thing, and they got detained and sent back. And they did an interview, and the recording of the interview just turns into them arguing, and that went to #1 on the charts. It was just a recording of them bickering, and he's like, "Shut up, you shut up!" Like, and it ended. I'm not gonna do a Mancunian accent impression, but it's wild. Hilarious. Yeah. So hey, who knows, man? Maybe if you guys catch a ferry and get detained in Amsterdam, you might get a #1 in the UK.
That's right. I love that. I didn't know that. That's such a good. That's cool. That's great.
I'm a bit of an Oasis nerd. I was like, there's a tangent looming here.
But they're so good. So good. I saw Noel at Blues Fest with his original / Oasis tribute band, and he was great.
Yeah,
like
I saw Liam in Fortitude Valley, and it was outrageous. Like, it was so good. It was fantastic. So. Because he does like his solo thing now as well. So they both, basically you get an opportunity to see two halves of Oasis like 2 times over. So
I had no idea he was like doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Like I always thought that he was like, it was kind of like a Paul McCartney, John Lennon situation where Noel was just writing everything and Liam was like just singing what he was told to sing.
I have a sneaking suspicion he doesn't write all of the material that he does now, but yeah, I mean his songs on some of those albums were like pretty average. So like Noel's just like literally like the songwriter of a generation, like, to be honest.
Oh, he's
like,
fantastic.
He's like outrageous.
He's so good.
But yeah, so with your band, so Oasis is 2 brothers. So what's the makeup of your band?
So my younger brother and younger sister are in the band. So my younger brother plays the bass.
Yep.
And my younger sister does backing vocals.
Oh, cool.
As well as she leads a few of the songs. So, yeah, that's how they are a part of it. Also, the drummer is my best mate and housemate.
Yeah,
so there's that.
So you never have to worry about finding the drummer or finding out if they're available, which is like the biggest problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never been an issue. And then James, he's the new kid. I think he's been with us now for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a whiz, like musician in the con, like plays trumpet and keys, like he's great. Like, absolutely. I have a ball with him, and everyone in the band except my sister is taller than me, so which is strange.
Really?
Right.
How tall are you?
So I'm 6'1".
Yeah, because you're tall.
Right. So and it's like, but I'm not. I'm nowhere near the tallest in the band. Like Caleb's the tallest; he's 6'4".
Yeah.
And then Saul and James are 6'2", and then I'm just like slightly shorter than them, and then there's Jamie, who's shorter than me.
How tall are your parents?
I'm taller than them. They like, I couldn't tell you, but I'm definitely like taller than my dad by quite a margin.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna just like turn around and be like, yeah, my dad was like an NBA player or something, and like the genetics have just filtered through.
Yeah, that's where that comes from. No, but it's super strange being short.
Yeah,
like in the band.
I'm just saying, you guys are hogging the genetics.
Yeah. That's right. I'm kind of like, I'm
together.
glad that Caleb is sat down when he's playing because he's the drummer. So he just like no one knows how tall he is.
Yeah.
And then one of these days we're gonna have just an absolute mammoth gig, and someone's gonna ask how tall he is, and he'll come out from behind the drum kit and just like stand next to me, and everyone will go, "Hey!" It'll be great.
That's why we push everyone else to the back. You come up to the front. That's everyone looks shorter by like comparison. Yeah.
Peter Jackson style.
Yeah. We use a lot of like Lord of the Rings style, like
that's right. Optical illusions.
So I guess one of the like really important things is it's basically your namesake. For the sake of the band, Aspy. So you are, like you said at the start, like a huge advocate for like mental health and
100%.
And just like, can you talk us through like your personal experience? Because you have Asperger's, correct? Just give us like how has that been for you personally, in particular with music, but just in general as well?
I find that at the start it was really difficult because the music industry, for someone as an outsider looking in, when you start in the music industry, is terrifying. Like it's very it's cutthroat, it's hard work, and often at times you're literally like you're essentially working 2 jobs to make this work. So you've got your music, which you're earning pittance for, but then you've got your other job on top of that. So you're doing 2 jobs at the same time, and like it's a lot of work, and it's like to constantly be creative is also very difficult. So I feel like that's one of my advantages with having Asperger's, is I'm a very creative person. So normally new material is never too far away. I've always got like a couple of voice memos up my sleeve, or just like a weird situation that I could write about. I'm never kind of out of material that can turn into music. But one of the downsides about being in the music industry, and you have to learn quick because it's a sink or swim situation, is it's a very, very, very social industry. It's a lot of handshaking. It's a lot of who you know, not what you know. It's like going to venues, getting to know the staff there. If you want to play there, you've got to like be friendly with them, and you've got to be good at talking to people. If you're willing to put in the time to learn how to talk to people and not hire someone to do it for you, it's very difficult to get a hang of. And I feel like that's something that people with ASD and Asperger's, like, they struggle with it a lot because of that. Because it's a lot of eye contact, it's a lot of touching, it's a lot of, hey, how you going, and talking to someone for maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes at a time that you've never met before. And then not only that, but if you've got a terrible memory like I do, you've got to retain all this information. Like, you got to retain all the names, all the numbers, all like the little, like, I guess, inside jokes that you might have sorted out while you were talking to them. It's like, so stuff like that is really intimidating for people with ASD, and also like being like sensory overload, like straight up in venues where there's a lot of people, there's a lot going on. Like sometimes you might be flying by the seat of your ass trying to get everything on stage, trying to get ready in a 10-minute window with no sound check. You just like line checking. You're like, oh my God, where is my good lead? Like it's
because there's always the buzzy lead that
there's always
the one, and you're like, I'm gonna throw it out, but I might need it just in case. And somehow you've always got the buzzy lead in the bag. Yeah,
you never throw it out.
No,
you always keep it. But yeah, just like the people, the loud noises, like there's a lot to take in, and it can be like overwhelming for people in like, especially like I said, those go situations where you literally like you could be running late, things could change, things can break. Like I think one of the first times I like genuinely like world stood still moments while I was on stage was when a string broke. I was like, what the hell do I do? Do I stop? Do I keep going? Like what happens now? You're like, do we just take a pause so that I can establish what to do next? And so then it is really just like learning on the job, and that can be very difficult. But I feel like with people with ASD, there are positives and there are negatives. But I feel like if they want it bad enough and they're willing to learn and do stuff like I did, you can absolutely overcome it. Music, there's room for everyone. I don't really understand what people are talking about where it's a really hard work. Like you see people putting stuff on Spotify all the time. And if you work if you work for it, you'll find work. Like 100%. Like absolutely. Like,
did you find it? I mean, obviously, the name is Aspy Jones. Was there a brief thought or consideration, like trepidation about like making it like a big part of your identity? Like, was there a part where you like, will this limit me, or were you always kind of like, this is who I am, and I'm willing to just put that out there?
We had a period of about a year where we didn't mention the ASD at all, and we kind of just like left it up to. It was a weird, it was like a weird pseudo Easter egg where people who had, or people who knew people that had Asperger's would look at that and go, oh, Aspy, I wonder if that's... And then if they wanted to, they could come and talk to me about it. But we kind of like, after a year, we were talking to people about it and they went, why don't you just like straight up just like have it just out in the open. Just say it and just own it. And we kind of like considered it and we went, you know what, why haven't we been owning it? What has been stopping us from literally having it as part of our marketing, having it as a positive message, being an advocate for it? Why? I feel like we're doing more damage by not having it out there than we would if we were just owning it. Because we have had discussions with people in the past where they kind of ask whether Aspy is derogative or like a slur towards people with Asperger's. And I said to them, I've never in my life have I heard someone reference it in a negative light. It's not like calling someone retarded or like a spaz. It's not like where it's like negative like that. I've never heard anyone say it in like a hurtful way.
For sure.
It's always been, oh, I'm an Aspy, don't mind me. Like I have difficulties reading social cues. And then people go, oh yeah, that's okay, that's cool.
It's almost like like an ownership of it sort of thing, where you're like, you're like, yep, that's
well,
how it is. Like, yep.
Like a word only has as much power as you give it. And so if you're shying away from it, and if we changed the name and weren't Aspy, then we would have been giving the word the power that we really, really, really didn't want it to have. So honestly, like I'm so happy that we stayed with the name, and I'm so happy that we're open with it now, because it's led to some really beautiful and like genuinely like compassionate moments where people would come up and they can relate to it, and they have kids that have Asperger's or they have Asperger's, and they genuinely just want to know how it's so, like how someone can make it in the music industry, or how they can just get through like daily life. That's what they want to know. Because
it's that important of visibility, right? It's that if you can see it, you can do it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't feel like there's then barriers because someone else can do it. So there's obviously a path there, and it can be done. So it's one of those things too where you were saying about like the power of words, because I was like, I don't know how to like approach this conversation in particular without being too like heavy-handed or anything. So
everyone has like their own level of okayness with different terms.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that you weren't sure how I was gonna feel about it, but thank you.
Yeah, no, because like I'm like I appreciate that you put it to the front. Like you was like why are we like putting it like othering it or something and just like taking it and owning it. I think that's really cool, to be honest.
Oh, like I do think it's like I do really like the way that I feel like I'm impacting people, and I think that's one of the reasons that. Excuse me. I feel like that's one of the reasons that I'm genuinely just loving what I'm doing at the moment, because it's great to hear those stories where like kids with Asperger's, especially if it drives them to achieve what they want to achieve. Yeah.
No, it's awesome, man. I'm really like, makes me feel a little like
fuzzy, warm inside. Yeah.
It's weird because now I have to transition to something else. That was like a really deep little pocket we got into. So recording.
Yep.
How like obviously you've got a new single that as of recording isn't out but will be out. I'll just let the ball drop there. So we're
right.
speaking in past future tense.
Yes, we're currently in the past.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a little effect on that, like a little time warp on it. And so how was that? And also just recording in general. Like, how do you find recording? Because for me, it's like I was talking to some friends that are in the Rogues Gallery. Shout out. And they were saying that they recently went to, like, I was talking to the guitarist, and he was like, we didn't realize that we needed a guitar solo, but we only had 2 days to record 2 singles.
Okay.
And he's like, we had ideas, but they weren't like working. And he's like, it was like crunch time was getting to the second day. And he was like, he was the bass player. Yeah. So he's like, oh, I'll do it. And he was like stressing out. And he's like, yeah, when you've got like this very specific amount of time to make this thing that is the product that you're supposed to represent, it can be really stressful. So I was wondering what your experiences are like with the recording of the previous singles you've done and the new one.
So it's really funny that you asked this, because I had a talk about this with Caleb, my drummer, and he was asking how I handle the recording process. And I think like one of the things that I've like genuinely tried to do is every single time I have to make sure that I'm totally focused. I'm like totally committed to it. And I don't want to say that I like something because I'm tired and I just want to go home. I want to make sure that I'm just like, I'm so like fixed on what I'm doing. And I'm like, if I don't like something, I've got to make sure I say that I don't like something. And that's just come with like experience. Cause I remember like at the start when I started recording music, I had no idea what I was doing. And then people were and you kind of just like swept up in the motion of what the producer's doing, because they get all excited. You bring a song, and at the start I didn't really understand what the process was, and I'd bring it to them and play it to them on the guitar, and they go, oh cool, we can add this, and you go, oh okay, right. And then they would just throw all of this at you and would record it and whatever, and then but because it was so like overwhelming and exhausting, I just cave and be like, yeah, I like it. I just want to go home. I'm tired. I've taken in too much. I've taken in too much information. I'm just like, it's just too much. And so then I just genuinely shut down, because it would just be information overload and I'd be fatigued. But then over the years, I've like learned methods and like making sure to take breaks and making sure that I didn't realize this, but until I started recording because I record a lot of my stuff at Yamanui now. So in the hills of near the hills of Yandina is a nice spot where recorded with Paulie Bromley and Steve Summers. Shout out. And didn't know this, but I concentrate I can like almost concentrate twice as much if I'm barefoot.
Yeah, right. Okay. That is interesting.
How weird is that? Okay. It's like sorry, that's my phone. My mental like
I was like, what are you doing?
There's like no one. I should have put that on song. I'm so sorry, but I should have done that ages ago. But how strange is that? We just like I genuinely focus twice as much and don't have like fatigue moments, like if I am barefoot.
Do you think possibly that's a sensory thing?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, like it's like
100% sensory thing,
and like that's just for people in general. Like if you're touching carpet, for instance, if your feet are on carpet, you're getting that like feeling of carpet or something on your feet, and it just, I don't know, it does something to your like sensory. Yeah, okay.
If I was at uni and wasn't in constant fear of my feet stinking, I would be barefoot in lectures all the time. 1,000% I would be, because I'm barefoot at home. I'm barefoot like when I'm recording, and only recently when the mood hits me and when there's very little broken glass, I like to be barefoot on stage. Like it's that kind of. I was barefoot for most of the gigs we did at Woodford.
That you fit right in though.
Oh my god!
Woodford, like you,
no one bats an eye if they see a couple of naked feet. No one gives a crap. It's like, honest to God, no one cares if they see like.
We call bare feet Woodford work boots.
Woodford. Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I played in some real dodgy places, so the fear of my bare feet touching some of those stages, is high. Are you a shoes off in a plane kind of guy, and are you a shoes off at the cinema kind of guy?
I was shoes off on the flight to the UK last year, like going there, not going back, because I'd never since I'd like come over to Australia, and since we're getting deeper because I don't think I've told anyone this. But I hadn't been on a flight that long since we came over. And then flying there, it's a connecting flight. So you fly to Qatar, and then from Qatar you go to London. But that first stretch, like you would know, 18 hours.
Very long.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
I slept for 2 hours for the entire, not just the connecting, but the entire trip to go to the UK. On that first length, I think we got through 6 hours, and it was really strange because there was no information up at the time about how much longer we had.
Oh, you didn't get the little plane thing on the screen?
I didn't have it up because I was like watching a movie or whatever.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, far out. I feel like I've been sat here for an eternity. And I was like, and not only that, but the food I'd eaten had given me, I was like physically ill, like constantly like afraid that if I put too much confidence in just moving, I would probably have just like thrown up. The food was like, it made me sick, and I had to contain myself because I'm like, I can't keep going to the bathroom because that's just like, that's straight up just like bothering everyone else. So I'm like sat there, and when I realized how much longer we had left, I almost had a panic attack. And I haven't had a panic attack in years and years and years, but realizing how much longer we had left in this little seat on this plane, I straight up could feel myself like, just like I could feel myself doing that. And I went, oh, you got to calm down. Because if you freak out on this plane, there's no way you can go.
Yep.
And it's not going to make the situation better. So you got to calm the hell down, because you're just going to like really make this situation like a million times worse. So I took my shoes off. I think I took my shoes off. I think I had a coffee, and then I chilled out a lot better. Like once my shoes were off, I was like, I just like, I kind of just like, I settled into it, and I was like, you just gotta ride it out.
Yeah.
Like it's not forever. It's just this, and then you'll be in Qatar and you'll be fine. But yeah, I genuinely like struggled with that. It was really confronting.
Honestly, I think that is just well, at least for me, because honestly, the entire experience of flying sucks.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Every part of it sucks. The drive to the airport on the M1 sucks. The lining up sucks. Security sucks. Getting into the plane through that little tube thing that you have to walk through sucks. Finding your seat sucks. Putting your bags up sucks. And then you sit down in a tiny seat. That sucks. And then the service sucks. And shout out to flight attendants, you do your job, but if I get water 4 times on a 16-hour flight, you're not doing a good job. Right. And then the people sitting next to you in the arm room sucks. Like everything about flying sucks. It's so bad.
It's horrible. Like it's genuinely, unless you can afford to like actually fly in like with legroom and you can like recline a little bit more. I feel like that's when the experience gets just so much better.
Yeah.
Like just infinitely better.
But they do that thing though, when you walk in, it's like planes are the only transport that force you to walk past the rich people part first. It's like imagine if you walked into a restaurant and there was like gold flaked steaks and they were like, that's $10,000. You have to go eat the dog biscuits.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Go over there. It's like go on.
Yeah,
back you go.
Back of the bus. Yeah, it's like awful.
It's like,
so.
It is a horrible, horrible experience. Like, it just, and when you like sat next to someone that, and you do get people who are genuinely nice to sit next to. On the way back from London to Qatar, I was sat next to a genuinely nice guy. I think he was like in his 40s, and we just had a fantastic conversation about how I think he was there for his like daughter's wedding, and he like had an amazing time. The weather was perfect and whatever, and we just spent the whole time talking about everything he did because his English was kind of broken, and we had just a great conversation about like just everything that he loved about it. And I was like, oh, you know what? And it turned a 6-hour connection into what felt like an hour. I was like, I genuinely enjoyed that experience. That was such a nice way to ride the first half out.
All of the plane rides that I've had where I've talked to someone on a plane that was genuinely interesting and didn't just put their headphones in, oddly, has been the best flights I've ever been on. One time I was on a flight, I think I was coming back from Melbourne, and I was having a chat to a guy whose brother was a sound engineer for Kanye West. And he was like, he was telling me all these stories about how, like, you know, he'd get kicked out of the room and he'd like turn all the lights off to get ideas and stuff. And he was like, he was weird. He's a weird dude. That is
so crazy.
And it's interesting because you think like, I wonder how many people on this plane like have really crazy interesting stories because we're all traveling, we're all going places, we've all been somewhere else. Like, there's, I don't know.
I think the most pleasant experience I've had on a plane. I was flying from super long story, but we'll just cut to the important part where I was flying from Sunny Coast Airport up to Rockhampton, like overnight. So it's like a 2-hour flight. It's like super quick. And got on this plane and I was sat next to a guy named Bob, and Bob made documentaries about isolated indigenous tribes in Australia. Like for the ABC.
Whoa.
And he taught me how to do the acknowledgement of country. So at this point, I didn't know how to say it, and I didn't know how to do acknowledgement before I started a gig. And then I was like, "How do you do the thing where you like I acknowledge the elders?" And he's going, "Oh, it's super easy." And he wrote it down. And then for like the next year until I memorized it, I genuinely had it with me, and I would like read that. And I was like, "That's," and the praise you get from doing it, like it's always great. And I honestly do have, I give the utmost respect to all elders and like past, present, and emerging. But it was just so great to have a formal way of acknowledging them at the start of the gig. And I feel like all musicians could maybe try a little bit harder to do it if they don't do it. Because it's like, because if you do genuinely care, you should put in the effort to memorize it, because it does like make a world of difference.
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna do it, it should be genuine in its like
100%. Yeah,
because I like don't do it if it's not a genuine.
If your heart's not in it, don't.
It's just not worth doing.
Yeah,
like, I 100%. Yeah.
I remember seeing. I'm not gonna like drop any names, but it's funny that you said that because I remember seeing someone do it, and it kind of came across as if it was like something to tick off the list. He's like, well, now that's out of the way, we can get the music started. It's like, oh, well, hang on a minute. That's not what it's for.
It's kind of like the first week of uni, there will be some university lecturers who very clearly care, and others that comes up on the slide and they're like, yeah, we'd like to, yeah, thanks all the, we're on the Gubby Gubby people, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, like,
and
cool.
Then, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, just don't do it then. It's just like, I think personally,
just get one person to do it for all of you. It's like, one person that actually cares.
Yeah. So we just talked about a lot of stuff that sucks. Let's talk about stuff that doesn't suck, which is the new single that you have coming out. That is
kick ass.
Also currently out in the future, but we're in the past. So it's out now and it's great. I love it.
What is this? The second Matrix movie? Like...
This is Inception. So yeah, tell us a bit about it. Like what's it about? I mean, I guess you can listen to it now.
Just shut your mouth and close your eyes. But everything's gonna be just fine. Just settle down and hush your mind.
But which you should go do.
Yeah.
I would say pre-save it, which if it was today, you would be doing.
Yeah.
But you can listen to it now.
Listen to it now. Follow me on Spotify, because that's where the real help for artists comes from. Make sure you follow your favorite artists on Spotify. But the song Hush is all about my personal experiences with learning empathy and being compassionate to my fellow humans.
You're such a nice guy.
Thank you so much. Thank you. For that moment, I felt like Steve Buscemi in that movie. It was like, oh, what up, fellow kids?
Yeah.
Like,
I'll bring the skateboard in for the next
one.
What
up, fellow humans?
I also feel feelings.
Yeah, that's right. So it's kind of, it was all about learning how to be like that. Because I don't know if you know this, but if you don't learn how to care about other people's problems, you're not going to get very far in the world of making friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it was really important for me to kind of make this chapter of my life, or this skill that I learned, into a song, because I did not develop it naturally. I had to learn how to do it. I had to learn why it was important, and I had to learn how not only to notice when someone wasn't feeling great, but just ways that I could comfort them and, like, I don't know, just make them feel better overall. So that's what the song is about. It's about just like learning empathy, being compassionate to humans, especially people who don't really know how to do it. But I feel like also to people who maybe could just ask people how other humans are feeling, and just checking up and making sure that you do everything you can to make sure that they're okay. And yeah.
And hush is that sort of like in reference to like just letting someone else speak, or
it was when I wrote it, it was actually a cool callback to when I used to kind of aggressively care about people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the moment I've said that you've gone, oh, I understand, but I'll kind of like lay it out. Because when I started learning it, I used to kind of aggressively be empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so just be like, it's like, come on. It's like, you can do it. Like, get over it. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, love you, man.
Yeah.
It's like, like that kind of thing.
I want to fix all of your problems.
Yeah,
and
it's
we're
like,
gonna,
It's like that kind of thing. And so it's kind of, it's a callback to that when I used to have a not very subtle approach to it. And so it's just like being straight out, upfront, being like, you can do this. Everything's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Settle down and hush your mind. That's
see, it's interesting because I was thinking in my head as you were saying that just before. I was thinking it kind of reminds me of my issue, which is that I'm a problem solver, and sometimes when someone's not having a great time, they don't want you to solve their problems. They just need to complain about how they're feeling and then feel better after they've just got it out. Whereas I'm an aggressive problem solver. Like, what's the problem? Yeah. Okay, well, how are we going to solve that?
What's going on, man?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Yeah, and I think that's something I've learned from being in a relationship because, like, I think that's just something that, in general, I think girls sometimes like to just express their feelings, whereas men are like, there's a problem. How do I fix
Subtle
it?
brag, am I right?
Yeah.
Must be nice. No, I'm kidding.
This is where I turn to the camera and say she's beautiful and wonderful, and I express it in public, and I rack up the brownie points as I go. So
yeah, it's like killing it, dude.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm really excited for you. It's going to be like an awesome, is an awesome release for you, and
thank you.
We're going to make sure. We're in the past now. I'm going to get everyone I know to pre-save it for you so that we rack up them numbers when it first comes out.
Yeah, we're currently floating around in the algorithm of the internet.
Yeah. Which I know all too well. I don't know how you feel.
You can get lost down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. I think that's all of the really hard stuff. So I want to go off on a tangent. I'm going to give myself the... we haven't done it enough this podcast.
You're making it sound like you're about to do a segment with a jingle.
Yeah.
Like, da, 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 da.
It's coming. With Feral Fatigue, their guitar player does wine reviews on his Instagram. So we did a wine review. I wanted to do some Would You Rathers because if you haven't... if you're not currently following Aspy on his Instagram, which you should do, and Facebook and Spotify, he does Would You Rather Wednesdays.
Would You Rather Wednesdays,
which is one of my favorite things that you do.
It's great. It's made slightly harder at the moment because my phone's camera is playing up, so I can't. I'm having to record it through Messenger's video feature. So we're working on it, but it's. But I love doing it.
Which, if you have ever tried to make a video for the internet using it in-app, oh my God, disgusting. It's awful. So I had a bunch of Would You Rathers that I wrote down that are currently in that phone that's recording us right now. So, do you have your... what do you need? I'm just going to Google it.
Is this one where we just like... fly through 100 in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. While I get this up, I'm going to ask you a bunch of other unrelated questions that I just think would be funny.
Okay.
If you could describe yourself as a Microsoft Suite package, what program would you be and why? And if you had to choose only... if you say Microsoft like Word or Microsoft Excel, I'm going to be a little disappointed, but like, it's fine.
This is next level journalism, this right here. It's gotta be Space Cadet Pinball. Could I have...
Okay, whoa, all right.
Could there be any other answer for me than Space Cadet Pinball?
That's fine, you can take that.
That's it. What a callback to like
Windows
1998.
XP, shout
out. Like Microsoft computers.
Do you know what's funny? Is that game... made me a pinball fan. Like I now, like if you are in the vicinity of Brisbane and you go to Netherworld where they have all of the pinball machines, like I'm a nerd for Stern pinball machines now because of that game. Yeah. So,
oh man, well there you go. I'm really proud with that answer because I was like just like, you know what, I'm gonna go hard with it. Could have said Spider Solitaire, but no.
Yeah. Well, you really like took me back. You just
come up with the most niche, unusual answers for questions. I'm great at that.
I have a sneaking suspicion you've probably done some of these questions before, but I'm going to rapid fire them anyway. I'm going to give you at least 5.
Well, I don't usually like say what my answer is on them.
It's always the audience. So.
Because I care about the people. I care about the people more than myself. So
man of the people.
Man of the people.
Cares for the people, listens to them, loves their problems.
Give the people what they want. What did everyone else say?
I'm just going to read off the list. Okay. I guarantee you I had better ones in my camera phone. However, I'm breaking the illusion. We're coming at you from an iPhone 14 Pro. So these could be awful. They could be great.
Okay.
We'll just see how we go. Would you rather Wednesday go without shampoo for the rest of your life or toothpaste for the rest of your life? And either way, your dentist or hairdresser will be appalled.
Oh. Okay. So I feel like with those, you can go without shampoo. I feel like big hair wants you to feel like you can't go without shampoo or
big
conditioner.
Follicle.
Yeah, big follicle. We're on here. We know that we can do it. There are people walking around with dreadlocks all the time. It's like, what was ever wrong with a bar of soap? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people genuinely, I know people who do this. There are people who do, you know what dry shampoo is? Yeah, buckle up. Yeah. It's people putting talcum powder in their hair. It absorbs the grease that's going on the hair. So they like genuinely do that instead of washing. They'll wash every now and then, but that is what they do daily. Like a chinchilla taking a dust bath. They'll just put all this talcum powder in their hair, get rid of the excess, and then just carry on with their day. My answer is toothpaste. I would rather toothpaste than shampoo.
Oh, fun fact: people used to make dreadlocks out of shampoo. Out of toothpaste. You could put toothpaste in your hair to make the dreadlocks.
Serious?
So yeah, you can pull double duty. And
damn. There you go.
Oh fuck, that was a really good one.
Oh, don't worry, it won't peak there.
Would you rather never have a life? It's awfully worded, so I'm going to reword it.
Okay.
Would you rather never have air conditioning or never be able to use deodorant?
Oh. Whoa. Is it? Are we counting just any? So like we're talking cars and buildings.
I'm going to say yes because deodorant will be something that you could use anywhere, and when you put on, you wear it wherever you go. I hope so.
I feel like it's double-edged sword because if you go to a cinema, like just take a moment to realize how hot it is going to be in there if there's no air conditioning in there. You've got like almost 100 people sat in a room breathing the same air at the same time, just like. And like that's not even to mention like
a 16-hour plane ride.
Like planes. Like planes. Can you imagine sat next to some guy that's got like a bloody like?
I'm gonna guess right now. I don't know the stats on this. Do your own research. I think the rate of homicide in the air in a plane is probably 0 annually. I think if you took air conditioning off, it would skyrocket. Yeah.
Do you ever get those moments where you're genuinely like you're just so edgy because it's hot?
Yeah.
Like the smallest thing can get on your like rear end. This is actually like a really good thing to talk about because we're weighing up whether deodorant is like just because you don't stink doesn't mean it's a life worth living.
Yeah.
Because you're there. Because like I said, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going, oh, okay. So we're going to go without air conditioning. I guarantee you right now, we're in a fully black room with no openable windows. If that little white box was not in this room right now, all three of us would have different feelings towards each other. We're just like... It's like we'd turn into animals. Anarchy would take over very quickly.
The single would not be called Hush, it would be called Shut Up.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care. It's like, yeah, far out.
Shout out Mitsubishi.
Shout out Mitsubishi.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I feel like there are things you can do to stop yourself from stinking.
Like, I feel like if you aren't a prominent sweater.
Yeah.
Of a person, you could get away with it.
Yeah.
I think if you just move to a cold climate, you probably. But does the aircon also count heating though? Like, does it include the reverse of? I mean, I suppose
you can have fires. Like, you can have fires and shit. But, like, if you think about it, like the moment you you know what I told you. Oh, like. If you, like, people would adapt.
Oh, yeah.
We would have a lot more hairless armpits. Like, because hair absorbs odor. So there would be a skyrocket in, like, disposable razors. So
shout out Big Bic.
Big razor?
Big Bic. It always comes back to the corporations, man. We are living in the Matrix.
It's like, yeah, Gillette's like, wait, all we have to do is get rid of air conditioning and then we'll just just go straight up. Okay. All right.
Gillette will now be purposely targeting the air conditioner.
Yeah, they're like, you know what, air conditioning's bad for the environment. We got to take it down. You know what? I'm going to say that I would rather live in a world without deodorant.
You heard it here first. Aspy's stinky.
Stinky boy. I would be walking around with like 3 backup shirts.
Yeah.
And a wet sponge.
I think I would also end up in an institution because if I couldn't have air conditioning in an Australian summer on the M1, which, by the way, I got stuck in on the way here. So, like, just in general, like, I genuinely think that maybe give me, I don't know, 2 trips up the highway in a 38-degree, 140 million% humidity day in Queensland. Yeah. I'll kill someone.
Stuff that. Give me an elevator with 2 people that aren't me and watch me turn into an absolute animal.
I'll be like that silver dude from the Terminator 2.
Yeah,
I'll just be chasing people down, like, fucking murdering them.
Yeah, I would get claustrophobic so fast. Cause of... Yeah. Who is it?
What is it? What do you smell?
Yeah.
Would you rather, Wednesday,
I can feel it,
never get tired or never have to go to the bathroom?
Damn. That's a good one. So when you say never get tired, do you mean, are we just saying straight up you just don't sleep?
I think it's more like never get exhausted.
Okay.
Like you could just keep going.
So you still have to sleep,
Yeah.
but you can function on a much smaller amount of sleep.
Yeah.
So you could function on 5 hours of sleep very, very well.
Yeah. I think we're assuming you will not develop early onset Alzheimer's from like a lack of sleep.
It's 100% like sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, and then not going to the bathroom. Is that just you never have an urgency to go to the bathroom?
I think you just never need to go. So no matter, like, I mean, you will never have to stop doing what you're doing to go.
Wow.
Which, in my opinion, if that's actually something that is like a problem for you day to day, like I get that checked. Gastroenterologist, like book it in. Like if you're like, man, my day's being
Check
ruined.
Yourself.
my day's being ruined by my bathroom trips.
I feel like, far out. Like, because one of the reasons I don't drink as much water as I should is because I'm constantly terrified that it'll catch me off guard and I'm going to need to like chuck a piss immediately. Because it doesn't like, if you drink a lot of water, it doesn't just creep up on you. It's
boom.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like I gotta go right now. Like if I'm not in a bathroom in the next 3 minutes, I will just be.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just straight out.
Have you ever had to hold it so long that you get that like that kidney, like even when you wee, like you're like, oh, it hurts. Like,
yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I.
Just in case you're ever wondering. Yeah, sometimes the piss hurts. I don't know. There
Sometimes
you go.
piss hurts. Sometimes it does. Far out. That's another tough one. These are good ones.
These are I'll link you up.
I feel like I could function. Like I do reasonably well for being tired, but I feel like I'd benefit more. No, I feel like I can't even convince myself to say it. I feel like I have to pick not being tired.
Yeah.
Because if you're not tired, then you can drive further. I can't. The amount of times I just have to pull over to take like 10 minutes to just close my eyes. I feel like I could definitely benefit from not getting tired. Because you can just like pull over on the side of the road, take a leak and whatever. But if you're exhausted and you're like, oh my God, I've still got to drive another 30 minutes. Then having that would probably be the best way to go.
And you'd put Big Energy drink right out of business. So
Big energy.
Big Energy.
We're coming for you. We know all of the tricks. How wild, just on a totally different side now.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about how crazy it is that this is absolutely a thing. I'm going full tinfoil hat right now. This is 100% a thing.
Please. This is called premium content.
This is 100% a thing. chicks don't have pockets in their pants because of handbags. Let's
Yes,
say.
yes.
That is disgusting.
Okay,
Like, that is horrid. He's put the phone down because this is all we're going to talk about.
I'm gonna
cut that.
I'm gonna pitch this as a business idea, and I'm gonna take it to Shark Tank because every woman in my life, they will get like a dress or something and go, look, it has pockets. Like it's a discovery. Like they discovered the new world or something. And I have thought about this for a really long time. I'm going to start a female clothing company. It's going to just literally be called Pockets. And I'm just going to make stuff with pockets. Yeah. Because apparently that's really difficult. And I don't understand. So just pockets, women's clothes, like everything has at least 2 pockets in it.
Handbags, we're on to you. We know exactly what you're
Big
doing.
strand bags. I'm watching you, man.
Because like it's such a weird thing because it's not like you go, oh, well, handbags are for everyone. It's like no. The reason guys don't have handbags is because we have bloody pockets.
Yeah.
We either have a backpack or we function with pockets. It's one or the two.
In saying that, they say, oh, I wish we had pockets, but a woman's handbag is a portal to the junk drawer in your kitchen.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, do you have Panadol? Yeah. Like, do you have, I don't know, like a welding kit? Yeah, in my handbag.
You can
like,
kill someone with anything that's in a woman's handbag.
Like MacGyver could, I don't know, probably hijack a plane with the contents
like
of
a raft.
Yeah.
You could you can straight up make a raft. Off you go.
Escape from Alcatraz with just the contents of any random woman's handbag. So, yeah, we're on to you.
We're on to you.
Yeah.
This is like
big Gucci. I'm on to you. Like,
it is like outrageous that is a thing.
Yeah.
See, equality. Like we're going for it.
We're trying to provide you with the pockets that we've always had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the alternative, overalls. And you just always wear overalls with pockets everywhere.
I've never worn pants that didn't have pockets.
No, and I have sports pants, like Nike shorts, that don't have pockets, and I'm like, I'm going to work out. Yeah. Of course, I'm bringing stuff with me, or I have like a phone in my pocket. Like, how am I supposed to run on a treadmill without music? Yeah. Explain that to me. So, big pockets.
Do it. Yeah. Big pockets.
All right, I have 2 more.
2 more.
And I think these are relatively difficult. Would you rather have no thumbs or no fingers?
Oh, that's messed up. That's messed up.
That's like a saw trap of a question.
That is a saw trap of a question because
You can't play the guitar.
you can't play the guitar either or.
Yeah.
Like
because you need your thumb to bridge on the back, right? I mean, you could learn to use your toes, but
You either can't hold the guitar.
Well, the problem is the thumb
I'm trying to think about it now, and
the thumb is a clamp. Like it's straight up like it applies the pressure to the neck. So if you don't have your thumb, you can't play shit. Like you just straight up like you'd be.
Yeah, I mean you could maybe learn, but
that's diabolical. I hate the way you've put that thought in my head because that is disgusting.
I'll tell you, my biggest fear is losing my fingers and never being able to play the guitar. Like I think about that a lot. I'm like, if I lost an arm, it wouldn't be the loss of the whole arm. It would literally just be the loss of my fingers that would bother me the most.
As a guitarist, which finger would you give up? If you have to give one, no, come on,
Pinky, because I mean, I play a lot of lead, so I can really get away with this one a lot. But like, your index finger is always going to be a bass note, or actually your middle finger if you're playing like a G. I changed my mind. Probably my ring finger. Probably the ring finger, because the majority of the triads, chords and stuff, I could probably get away with. And if you're playing power chords, you need your index.
You're gonna lose a lot of bar chords.
Oh,
got him.
Yeah,
got him a beauty. I'm gonna say middle finger.
Yeah.
Lose that.
Yeah, you're right. Because I feel like, I mean, C's would be really difficult with...
Yeah.
Only guitarists are going to get any of this. Everyone's going to be like, what do you mean? I've seen people like without arms play with their toes. Like
keyboard player over there, smug as hell. That's like, I'd get rid of my thumbs every day. It's like, nothing would change.
Yeah.
I need my thumbs.
I'll get the rest of the rhythm. Just be a singer.
Just be a singer.
How are you going to carry that microphone without you?
Just nubs, bro.
Yeah, just nubs.
Tape it. Just tape.
Play with nubs.
Okay.
That's what the stands for.
That's right. If you lose your fingers, if you lose your thumbs, you can't eat a burger again.
you can't eat with the you can't really eat properly, right?
I feel like on a level you could function with a knife and fork.
I'd still be fucked with chopsticks either way.
You'd have to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have to adapt somehow. But
it's literally like a lose-lose. It's one of those ones like you can't really pick. So
I think there's strength in numbers, and I'm gonna say I'd rather lose my thumb.
All right, fair. I mean, yeah.
I feel like because then you still got 8, but I feel like if you kept your thumbs, what kind of life is that giving you? Because you can't really hold anything. You still can't hold anything. Like, sure, you can. At that point, they're just like 2 big fingers.
Yeah,
because the only reason thumbs are so useful is because
of everything else.
Work with everything else. So yeah, get out of here, thumbs.
What a conspiracy theory. We only need 4. I'm telling you.
Only need 4. You see, like raccoons.
Yeah, big evolution. I'm
do all that stuff without thumbs.
Yeah.
Like they're just like breaking open clams and stuff, and like they don't even have thumbs. Like, whenever they try that stuff.
What did we evolve to have thumbs for in the first place? Ridiculous.
The reason we have thumbs is
thing that keeps us out of the food.
Yeah. It's literally like the evolutionary trait that
the reason we have thumbs is the reason that we own the planet.
Yeah.
Like, that is like
I've told
straight up.
I say to my dog whenever he like gets like whingy for food, I'm like, grow some thumbs and learn to feed yourself. So, they're like, I mean, it's funny I say that because I literally use my advanced evolution against my domesticated pets.
It would be a dark, dark world.
The RSPCA doesn't watch this.
No, it would be a dark, dark world if no species on this planet had any posable thumbs. It would be primitive. It'd be very primitive.
Can you imagine if any other like marsupial could hold things? Like if a kangaroo could like wield something, how frightening that would be.
Kangaroos, I feel like kangaroos wield the fury of vengeance with them all the time. Like they're always after someone to like kick or punch. They're always like looking for something.
But I'm just saying, like if a kangaroo could like pick up a sword and wield it, that would genuinely be frightening.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be a menace.
Watch
out, big kanga.
Big jumpies. Yeah.
Jumpies, watch out, big skip.
All right. And my last one. There was 2 here. I'm going to pick the less ridiculous one because this one is like more of I don't want either of these. Would you rather always have bad gas or always have a really dry mouth?
Are we talking like... So when it says you have bad gas, do you still fart as much as you did before the situation?
No, I would say it would be more. You
fart more.
You would be farting more consistently, and each one would be particularly horrible.
Like eggs.
Yeah.
I was more worried about the noise. Imagine being on stage and it's just constantly like...
Yeah.
Blasting out of you.
You would
have a mic set up for it.
Yeah, a bunch of fans just
Big anus.
blow. Big anus.
Run to you.
Big anus.
That's going to be... I'm going to put that right at the start.
Oh, like having a dry mouth is very annoying. It's like... And it's a telltale sign of dehydration. So it's like...
Makes singing hard.
Oh, it does make singing hard. That's one of the reasons I like despise smoke machines on stage. Right? Oh, here we go. It's like, the moment he shook his head, I went, he knows exactly what I want about. Smoke machines. People don't know this.
Gigs with fire.
Yeah. Singers, we don't like smoke machines. They look great and they make lights 10 times cooler. But singers, almost all singers...
We need to be wet.
We love being wet. We hate smoke machines. They dry the hell out of your mouth. Yeah, like... And it's not like, drink water. You don't understand. You can drink a little bit of water, like, between songs, but in the middle of a song when it's, like, rife with it and it's, like, all over the place, you just genuinely, like... It's like...
We played a gig once. It was a covers gig, and we were next to a fire, and I've never heard Kody's voice get so
raspy,
hoarse, and like we were like, we can't finish because like the wind would blow, and the fire hit, and he was ruined. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it? The gas or the dry mouth? I feel like the dry mouth sounds less bad, but the more you think about it, like trying to sleep and being like,
Yeah.
you know,
You could be Gaspy Jones.
Gaspy Jones.
Gassy Jones.
Gassy Jones.
Gaspy Jones. It works both ways.
Well, yeah, and even if you have a dry mouth, you could be Gaspy
Yeah.
Jones. So
Yeah.
you're on.
I wish I had headphones on just to hear you do that.
Yeah.
It's like we could release a sideline of ASMR. It's like he's hearing that right now, and he's like, "Oh, that's disgusting."
That's a 10. All right, man. Well, that was fantastic, and I'm gonna make sure you have those. That
was great.
Wonderful list. So, to conclude,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming again.
Honestly, I had a great time.
Really appreciate it. I feel like I could talk for another 4 hours if I had to.
Oh,
which
we
is
could.
Fantastic. So, just to recap, new single
Yep.
out at the point of posting this.
Yep.
Where can we find it?
You can find it everywhere, like a rash. Like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, if that's still a thing. You can find it all over the joint. It's gonna be great, and I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, leave us a follow on all the socials because that is the thing that matters the most. And yeah,
Follow on Spotify. And you've also got do you have like YouTube and stuff like that as well?
yeah, got YouTube. We got all of the music videos on YouTube. You can find them all there. They have all been done by my dear dad. He has done all the music videos, and also the Brisbane Council, the Cube Effect, has recently done the music video for Hush.
Amazing.
So that'll be great. It's gonna be awesome.
So we've got the video coming out, the single, which will be out at the time of posting. Do you have merch anywhere? I can grab some bits
There
and
is
pieces?
merch. Like we're gonna be we're printing new shirts as we speak.
Fantastic.
And they will be here. They'll be on the website. They will be at the gigs. They will be everywhere. And they're going to be great.
Incredible. So listen to the single, catch up on some of Aspy's earlier music, jump on and buy some merch, follow him on everything that he's got. And again, I just want to say thanks for coming, and it's been
drama.
awesome, man. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much for having me.
Cheers.
Right.